Hi, you guys. Hi, friends. I'm so excited to be here on Friday. I'm actually not in Georgia. I'm in Madison, Alabama. I'm really excited to be here. We're visiting family out here. But I felt like it was really important for me to jump on here with you guys and give you a little bit of Friday inspiration. It is Freedom Friday. And if you haven't been on live with me before, on Fridays, I do something that I call the Unconventional Way, where I interview different entrepreneurs in different industries. And we talk about the obstacles that they've had to overcome and things that they've had to do in their lives to allow themselves to create true freedom in their life. So that maybe, if you're wanting more out of life, you and I need to switch this to speaker view. Okay, so maybe if you're wanting a little bit more out of your life, then you can figure out how to achieve that for you, whether that's starting some side hustle business, whether it's running a marketing company, whether it's owning your own, traditional business one day, whatever that is for you. I wanted to be able to bring you some inspiration and some options and know that you don't have to live your life a certain way. You can live exactly the way that you want it to be, and life is meant to be fun and lived fully. So I am so excited to be here today, guys. I'm excited to be in Madison, to be spending time with family, and I'm really excited about who I have on with you guys tonight. He has been a fabulous mentor of mine for specifically over the past 6 months. I've known Jim a long time, but we've really gotten close, I guess, over the past year. And he's really, really been an amazing mentor to me. And I have learned absolutely so much from you, Jim. I'm so excited to have you here. He was the former CEO of a nutrition company and left that company to build a network marketing business as an entrepreneur. You guys, this is huge. This is huge. What he walked away from is unbelievable and amazing. And what he has created in his life is unbelievable and amazing. And so, Jim, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to have you with us.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Wow, thank you. My head is swollen about 3 times as big as it's supposed to be. You are very, very kind, and it's my privilege being with you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited to ask you some of these questions because I don't even know what to say to them, and I didn't send them to you beforehand.
No, I have no idea, so hold on to your hat.
So I guess the first question that I just kind of want to start with is, you were the CEO of a company and you decided to make a shift in your life and go after something more. What happened that made you decide to really go from being the CEO of a company into more of, I guess they're both really entrepreneurial, to be honest, but to really go into the network marketing industry?
Wow, that's a really tough question. I wrestled with it myself for 6 months. My introduction to the Isagenix program, I would like to take credit for. That was actually all my wife. She got a phone call from a family member who shared it with her. She got on the program, had fantastic success with it, resolved a whole bunch of issues that she was having. I watched her transform her life, literally, from being basically bedridden to being up and about. And I like to used to say, I got my wife back, and it was so exciting. Now, the little bit of weight that she dropped, like the 27 pounds in just a few months, was phenomenal, which really lit up her life because she'd been wrestling with that too. But for me to leave my secure position as president and CEO of an international nutritional company, it took more than a miracle of watching my wife come back to life. I also did a lot of research on their marketing because it was a brand new company in 2002 when Kathy joined. This is only 6 months later, she's asking me to join her, which put in jeopardy my position with my current company. And so it was not an easy decision, but in 6 months, she matched my income, which really caught my attention. That was the pebble that I never thought would drop in the pond, but its repercussions were phenomenal. The product itself is really what did it for me, if I can say that. We had a fabulous product, that we were working with too. Obviously, the biochemists, doctors of nutrition, the master herbalists, all of my board of directors had become my mentors for over almost a decade, and some of my best friends. So to walk away from them was not easy. But once I saw the results of what Isagenix delivered so quickly, I could not deny this was the most superior product I had ever even conceived of, let alone had at my fingertips. And so I put it in my own body, had amazing results, and then watched everybody around me have the same kind of results and in record time. And so it was a little bit tough to write my letter of resignation. Most people don't know this part of the story. My board of directors wouldn't accept it. They gave me a leave of absence instead. They said, "We think you've bumped your head on the way to work. So what we're going to do is give you a leave of absence for 6 months so you can go play around with this new idea of yours. And then 6 months from now, you come back to a board meeting and we'll give you your position back. We're not going to fill it while you're gone." 6 months later, I kept my promise. I walked back in. They're all smiles. They're all excited. "Oh, good, he's back. Put him in the big chair again. You know, we're so excited. You learned your lesson." They weren't even really trying to give me a bad time, thinking that I had made a mistake. But then they noticed I was smiling. And they said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "Because I have to tell you, as much as I love you, I'm not coming back." And they went, "What?" I said, "Seriously, what I have found is beyond. It's 10 years ahead of anybody's technology of what it's capable of doing. This full body cleanse, no one has even considered it, let alone achieved it. And Mr. John Anderson is a genius, and his products will go worldwide. And so I'm having fun."
I love that. And it's funny because I think that you have shared that story with me before, but I don't think that you didn't share the leave of absence part. I knew that it took a while for you to like actually leave, but I didn't realize, I knew that they didn't accept it, but I didn't realize they like gave you this leave of absence. So that is so crazy. So
it is great.
That is, and it's funny because I was actually going to jump on here earlier and talk a little bit about how when we decide we want something, there's always obstacles that come up in the way. And so it's funny because the universe or God or whatever you believe in, whatever you believe in personally, I believe in God. And one of the things that I believe is when you declare what you want, God gives you challenges that you have to overcome so that you can, show him you really want it. And it's funny that you talk about the leave of absence, because how easy would that have been to just go back to that comfort?
Oh, yes. And trust me, I wrestled with it, but some exceptional things had happened in the 6 months that I had joined my wife. First of all, without my help, she had matched my income in her first months. Now it was 1 full year from the time she had joined. By my addition to what she had done, we had doubled that income again. So financially, I was doubling what I was making as the CEO, even though that was a comfortable job. It was also 12 hours a day, 5 and sometimes 6 days a week. Wow. And the difference, that and some time freedom, some actual time at home with my own children, and all the things that I kept thinking, I'm earning all this money so I can do this. And yet they were all growing up. Some were already getting married and leaving before I got a chance to get home and say, "Hey, don't forget Dad." And so that change up was maybe more important to me than the money part. Time freedom is unbelievable. But you mentioned that the higher power, and I'm the same as you, I believe in God also, puts challenges in our lives. And I don't know that I've ever mentioned this, especially on a live call where it would get out to the world, but I had a challenge that I didn't even realize was unique to me, and that was I'm dyslexic. Now, a lot of people think dyslexic people simply write their letters backwards, but it's not. It's way, way different than that. And I'm not severe. There are severe, mild, it goes in a big spectrum. And the two things that I had a challenge with was learning how to read, because my part of the brain doesn't sound things the same as your part of the brain. So trying to learn through phonics, which is what was being taught when I was growing up, didn't make any sense to me at all. I just had to memorize each letter in sequence, or I couldn't spell it, or I would spell it with it all rearranged. The first letter and the last letter were always correct, but what was in the middle could go every other way, and it didn't matter to me because it looked just right to me. And that, somebody who doesn't have that doesn't know that that's what's going on in somebody else's brain. And I thought everybody else was like me, but that turned around for me because my biggest fear was that I was going to be asked to stand up in class and read the next page. And unless I memorized every word, reading out loud when you're a second or a third grader was just beyond me. And so I started to learn something, and this is what's helped me. And this will all make sense in a moment. I could actually speak slowly as I was reading, but my eyes were 5 words ahead, reading the whole rest of the sentence in case I came to a word I didn't know, and slowly work it out. So by the time I got to it, I could go right through it as if I was reading it. And that single thing, which is the way I thought everybody else must have to learn how to read, made it possible for me to start being able to read at almost 1,000 words a minute with 95% retention and comprehension, which the rest of the class, when they took the same course with me, the next fastest to me was about 500 words a minute. And then the secondary thing was I couldn't go through a sentence without understanding each word. I'd go back and work on that word until it made sense to me. So I thought that's what everybody did. And that habit has made me probably one of a few people who can take very complicated material being taught for 10 years by my mentors of biochemists and break it down to where it's very easy to understand, because I have to understand it. And when I do, and I put it in my own language, then almost everybody else can too. And that's an incredible gift for me to be able to do and facilitate for others who go, wow, you know a lot. And what's really neat is you make it so I can figure it out. And I say, well, thank you. That's just the way I learn.
No, absolutely. That is amazing. And I did not know that about you. And it's funny because my next question for you was, what obstacles did you have to overcome to get to where you are today? So you went right into that one. And that's a really big one, because I think a lot of times, especially within the network marketing industry, people come in and right off the bat, they expect to make a huge income. And what happens is you have to, everyone starts in a different place. So someone might have more experience in certain areas than others. And so, just like you're able to learn new information very, very quickly, I may not be able to learn it that quickly. And I may have a really awesome skill at something else. Like maybe I can connect with people really well. But I need to work on, my information. So thank you so much for sharing that. I have another question, though, that kind of spawns off that a little bit, because I know that we've talked before about how when you left your position and you were helping Kathy build, one of the things that you used to do is share a lot of information with people. Because a little bit too much information can be a little bit of a problem sometimes and put people in an overwhelmed space or area. So what other kind of obstacles did you have to overcome to be able to build the kind of income that you have today? Because it didn't necessarily just show up one day, right?
No, it didn't. It was not an accident. That's sort of like you don't usually fall up to the top of the mountain. You have to take one step at a time to get to the top. And two things. One, that was sort of an obstacle to me. When you're a teacher and a professor, you're used to simply lecturing. It never occurs to you to ask questions. And bringing that background to bear as an entrepreneur who wants another person to feel about the products the way I do, I always assume they want all of this vast knowledge. And I have to tell you a quick story that really summarizes this. I'm standing in line at Albertsons, a local grocery store in our neighborhood, and the phone rings. This is after I joined Isagenix. And this was an aha to me, okay? This was my big aha this very day. And on the phone is one of my teammates who says, Jim, if you got just a minute to share a little bit about Isagenix with a brand new friend who's on the phone with me. And I said, well, I'm standing in line at a checkout, but yes, I'll be glad to talk to her if we can make it quick. And she said, fine. So she put the person on the phone with me, and I said, hi, this is Jim Rhoades. And she said, so do you know about this Isagenix? And I said, yes, I do. And it occurred to me, the lady in line right in front of me was a little bit fluffy, and she could use Isagenix too to probably drop a few pounds and feel a lot better. And so I decided to lean forward and talk a little louder than normal. And I said, yes, I know a lot about Isagenix. What Isagenix is a new cutting edge technology of cleansing the body of impurities and then replenishing the body with all the nutrients the body needs to regenerate in a healthy state. And so pounds and inches simply melt away, and it's a way of life, not just a quick fix. Do I have any Isagenix? I do. And is it safe? Yes, it is. So I'm saying all this loudly and repeating her question to me so the lady in front of me can hear. Yes, I have some at home, and yes, when I get there, I can probably bring you some. All right. Well, I'll take your number, and then I will get back to you. And that went click. Meanwhile, the lady in front of me had deliberately slowed down and was turning her head back to listen to my conversation. And then I saw her pay for her groceries and then slowly start to walk away and turned her cart around, came back and said, excuse me, can I get your name and phone number too? I need some of that stuff that you were just talking about. And I said, why, sure. So I'm writing my name and phone number, and the lady who's checking me out says, can you give me your name and phone number too? I couldn't help but overhear you. And I think I would be interested in that. And I said, sure. So I gave both of them my name and numbers without getting theirs, which is a mistake, but at least I started something. Meantime, pay for my groceries, get in the car, my phone rings again. So I'm thinking it's the lady I already spoke to while I was on the phone in the store, but it's the other lady in front of me. She's still in her car in the same parking lot with me. And she says, hi, this is the lady in front of you at the store. You do have some of that product at your house? And I said, yes. May I just follow you home and get some today? I about covered the mouthpiece and went, I haven't told her about how it takes all the impurities out of the body and how it balances the pH of the digestive system and how it's going to change up the liver and how it's going to do this to the blood. And I haven't gone into all the details. How could she possibly be saying, I just want to follow you home and get some? So I said, yes, just follow me home. But I went, wow. A big lesson. Less is more. What people want is results. They balance their excitement, their emotion of the results of it with the knowledge base. It backs them up. But information sells, emotion sells. And the shorter you can be, and this is what my wife was magic at, and all the time she would try to help me. She would see me on the phone talking with a brand new person who was interested. She would come up to me and put her finger like this, a little, just a little. And I'm going, shh. She wants to know all about the cleanse technology. She wants to know all about Oh, she needs to know all that. And my wife would go, no, this is me before Isagenix. This is me after Isagenix. Which flavor do you want, chocolate or vanilla? That was her whole presentation. I was bedridden before Isagenix. I'm not now. Which makes more sense to you? Would you like to look and feel as good as I do? I have chocolate or vanilla. Which one do you want? And that was her close. And I'm going, nobody will buy something or think that's good enough if that's all you tell them. And yet she built an income of over $100,000 a year with that very presentation.
Wow. Jim, I love that you share that, because there's so much in what you just said. And all of this is a learning process, you know, and a lot of times we make it harder than what it really needs to be, you know. I have 2 more questions for you. We have about 5 minutes. So run through these really quick. If you could go back in time and tell yourself something at the beginning that you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Well, that's easy. Get out of my own way. Keep it short and sweet. Don't be the expert. Don't be the professor. Refer to, even if they ask you a very simple question you do know the answer to, say, I'm not quite sure, but I can sure find out for you. I can give you something that has the information on it or whatever, and let's get you started. And go right back to the close again. Let's get you started. Let's get it in there. You're going to love it. The proof of the pudding is putting it in your mouth and letting it have its results. Every person who has gotten excited about the product did one thing in common. Every single one of them. They put the product inside their body. The product did the balance of the work. When they woke up with more energy, when they had more mental clarity, when they dropped pounds and inches, they went, whatever those questions were, they melted away because it's works. It just plain works.
I love that. I think that that's great. And I should have anticipated that. Okay, my last question. So I want you to think about yourself before creating this life of freedom that you've created for your family, like yourself as a CEO working 12-hour days. And yes. I know that at that point in time, things were really, really good for you guys, and you were creating an amazing income as a CEO of this company. But just kind of tap back into that and what it felt like not being able to spend that time with your kids that you were really wanting. What's one thing that you could share with someone who might be in a position like that now, or who's struggling a little bit, and maybe they're feeling like they don't know what to do or how to move forward, or, you know, where to figure out kind of what they're here for? What's one piece of wisdom that you could share with that person that would help them move forward or kind of get out of that funk that they're in right now?
Wow. It comes down to, in my opinion, trust. That person, if they're in that little hole of, I don't know, I'm not sure, it's probably great for them, but not for me, I'm not enough, whatever kind of that little voice keeps telling you inside, it won't work for me. And that's a very common one to have, especially when you're new, is to trust the people who shared it with you, because chances are they thought the same darn thing until somebody spoke into them the possibilities of it could, and have some hope and some belief, and put the product to the test, put it in them. A test will bring about a testimony, and suddenly they go, oh, this does work. Now I feel like I could share it with people I know and love. Second, try the marketing side. If you want some time freedom, you mentioned the difference of my kids growing up, and this is interesting. Every one of my 8 kids and their spouses say, Dad, it would have been so neat if you could have spent as much time with us as you have been with our kids, my grandkids. And I say, yeah, I was so busy trying to put a roof over our heads, food on the table, and get stuff accomplished that I forgot. It was all about doing it for you. And the one thing I was missing is you. Now, you had me when I was there. I tried to give you some quality time, but in all honesty, I was gone a lot. And thank goodness I had an incredible wife who was capable of raising those 8 beautiful kids and still helping them become my best friends and stay my best friends up to this very day. But if I could reverse anything, I would go back and say my priorities were off. My priorities became, I want to make it better for everybody, so I'm going to work more hours so I can provide more things. And it wasn't things they wanted. It was, ironically, it was my time.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you. Thank you. It's funny because you always share like the perfect pieces of information. And I think so, sometimes we can get caught up in, especially if anybody's experiencing any type of financial stress, sometimes we can really get caught up in all of that. And that can come into our heads and we can like equate that with how valuable we are. And then we're constantly working to earn instead of really doing the important things, which is enjoying the time with our family that we have right now. So
Amen.
thank you so much for being on tonight, Jim. I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate everything that you do. I know this will provide so much value to the people who watch it. So thanks so much again.
My pleasure. Bless you. Thank you for bringing me on.
Thanks, Jim. You guys, every Tuesday and Friday. Tuesdays, I talk about transformation stories of people who are using the Isagenix system, real life people who are getting real life results that we can even talk to on the phone if you want, and you can ask questions. On Fridays, I'm here talking to different entrepreneurs from all different industries, not just network marketing, from real estate to, 1 week I had my amazing friend who's a chiropractor on, and we are connected through network marketing, but she's a chiropractor. Another week I had on my amazing friend Laura, who is a personal trainer and really helps people in those areas of their lives. So please join us on Friday for inspiration, for any type of motivation, and I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, and I will be back on Tuesday. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jim.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.